essentially convicted in the media. You don't have to read but a few articles to see how negative they are about him. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent.
Listen up, the ashes stir, phoenix wings unfurl, seeking truth beneath the blur. Turnings for the lax, they meet the blur. Out the flames I rise, wings scorched but unbroken. Truth's the blaze I wield, every rhyme's a token. In the nest we move, hearts stump in unison. Searching for the light where the system cuts our wisdom. Built on lies and steel, they boxed us in cages. Now we break the locks, rewrite history's pages. Innocent until proven guilty, that's the oath we recite. Under this constitution we ignite the night. We rise like a phoenix in sync, we claim the street. Nest seekers united, our freedom can't be beat. Stand up when one falls, yeah we got your back. In a free land unbroken, we launch the righteous attack. Justice for the voiceless, break the chains of deceit. Innocent till proven guilty, our victory's complete. System cracked at the seams, built for just a few. We rip apart the scheme, bring the truth into view. Movement swells like thunder, souls fueled by conviction. Phoenix souls aligned, demanding our new vision. Marching on the courthouse banners, paint the sky. Echoes of freedom roar, watch the old guard comply. No more hidden verdicts, no more secrets sold. Every voice is a weapon, every story be told. Innocent till proven guilty, that's our final decree. Under this constitution we stand forever free. Phoenix in the dawn, truth ignites the sky. Together we stand tall, no more asking why. Listen up, the ashes stir, phoenix wings unfurl, seeking.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So I scheduled a special live today because I have got such a jam-packed, busy week, and we will be having an autism panel this week and some developments in the Idaho 4 Brian Kohberger Innocence Project. So with that being said, it is time to get the show on the road. Happy afternoon, everyone. Today is Sunday. And I just wanted to thank every single one of you for sending me all kinds of amazing nest finds, and also to take a look at the website that has been updated in regards to the topic that we are discussing today. So hello, lovely people. Welcome in, greet one another. Smile, let's do this, because this is a call to action. This is the time. It is now. It is now that we do something. And I know a lot of people have been asking me, oh, what can we do? What can we do? Well, let me help you understand first why there's a call to action. Now, I've shared with you Justice for All. I've said, okay, everyone, basically, let's just sit tight until we have answers. Let's sit tight until we have somebody that steps forward and says, okay, we can help. So that's what we are looking at right now. If you notice on the Justice for All website, there are now links on the left buttons. I don't know why it says blank, but let me figure that one out and we'll fix that. On the left side, there is going to be a link for the petition. Oh, lady, you're in London. Welcome aboard. On the left side, you know what? I know why it does that, because I didn't refresh it. Let me refresh it and see if it has it fixed. Yes, on the left side, you will see that there is now a button for a petition. This is to ensure the fair treatment for Brian Kohberger. This is not just because of the fact that he is in prison, pleaded guilty, but didn't confess. You heard the intro audio of Ann Taylor has been defending and fighting him and his innocence since day one. This petition will be active and live tonight. There will be a link that goes to the petition. Right now, that link does not work. The website is Justice for, spelled out all. And also there is a tab. Oh, it's got to fix that word. For the Autism Innocence Project. I have been working with somebody. I've been emailing back and forth. And here is a letter that you can actually go write an email, copy and paste this, sign your full name, contact information, whatever you want. Then go to the Innocent Project. We are talking about Autism Innocence Project. Okay? And this is supporting autism criminal justice reform that needs to be done, period. Our justice system is not meant for those with neurodivergent, diagnosed autism, ADHD. Mind you, there are, and I have a lot of information to cover in a short hour. So if you believe that Bryan Kohberger is guilty based on the circumstantial evidence that they have found and the lack of evidence they do not have, and there was no blood DNA of his at the crime scene, and you honestly believe that the law enforcement has possibly tainted or possibly have planted evidence against him, then this is the stream for you. If you don't believe he's innocent, this is not the stream for you. I'm just going to say that right now. So welcome in, everybody. We'll get into that in a minute. I want to cover that. You can go to the website. You can check it out. It's a fantastic website I put together so that we can have some leverage to fight in a good way for Bryan Kohberger. If you do not have all the evidence that you need, if you don't have any of the documents, the pictures, the reports, even where his autism court filings, even where it says, nope, he wasn't in the area at the time in Washington, and his DNA is not, the blood DNA, contact DNA that somebody was injured and left DNA was not on the sheet. It was someone else's. Like 3 or 4 other people, maybe even 5 people involved. So with that being said, let's get into it. Did you know the statistics in those with autism, not just with autism, but 95% convicted? Yes, there are 95% convicted people in prison without a trial. Yes, absolutely, this exists. A lot of people are like, oh, he took the plea deal. He's guilty. He took a plea deal. He never admitted his guilt. He took a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. And here's the challenges. When you are convicted, you can go to an appeal process or post-conviction relief process. There are advocacy letters out there. There are guides out there for you to help understand. The challenges in trial court rulings or procedures are very difficult. An appeal has to be filed within 42 days of the judgment or the final order. It's getting really close to that date. And that's governed by the Idaho appellate rules. You can go look at those. It's usually handled by trial counsel or appellate public defenders. And keep in mind, the trial counsel are those who put him in prison. They are the judges that sit and they decide. Okay? It's not always going to be in an individual's favor. Now, post-conviction relief is a civil petition under Code 194901 in Idaho. And that's broader than appeal. It'll raise new constitutional claims like ineffective counsel, new evidence, Brady violations. And that is a 1-year deadline from conviction before it becomes final. After direct appeal is over or when the time has expired, y'all, it's filed in the same court that handled the plea deal because there was not a trial. If he went to trial, which we're going to discuss on the autism panel next in my next live, and then the panel, you'd understand that his odds were what they wanted to bring into the trial were very low in getting a basically coming back no guilt, like you saw in the Karen Reed trial. And that is because of his autism. Why? I'll get into the documents that Anne provided about how the jury would perceive him, how people on TV would perceive him. Look at what the media's done, and they perceived him to be creepy and just crazy stuff coming out on the media. That's what they did. That would have been the trial. Trial by media, jury wouldn't even had an option. Not even an option. So when you look at this, you think, let's talk about the grounds for the alternative instead of an appeal, and that would be PCR petitions. That's post-conviction relief. Well, ineffective counsel covers a few different things. And here's the thing that it covers that is very controversial in this case is failure to investigate exculpatory evidence. Now, guys, all the pictures, all the photos, all the cop cams that are coming out, there is a failure to investigate exculpatory evidence. I believe humbly there is, because you know what? Crime scene photos don't lie. People who talk lie. Statements could lie. The picture tells the whole story. And what did they do? I put a video out. They tore down the house. They tore down the house that would tell the story. In PCR petitions, there are also failure to object to inadmissible testimony. That means testimony that will come in that shouldn't have been admitted. Failure to present expert witnesses, which they had a whole line of expert witnesses. And obviously, poor jury selection strategy. So due process violation, there's a difference between exculpatory evidence, which is a Brady violation. It's a case that basically allowed I can't get the word out today. Exculpatory evidence. That means that it could exonerate Brian Kohberger. Witness recantations, like a witness will come up and then they'll say, well, I was led by the whatever X, Y, and Z, or I was told I'd be in trouble by X, Y, and Z. Then a newly discovered alibi or timeline contradiction, and that's what we're looking at, all these timeline contradictions, all these police reports, all of this body cam, all of this witness statements. Who changed all this? Because I can tell you right now, after watching the new released video on Law and Crime, I don't believe that Dylan was lying. A lot of people are going to be saying, oh my God, how could you not believe she was lying? I believe she told the facts. The fact takers, the people who take the reports and put it down, I believe, in my humble opinion, have twisted some of the narrative. And that's just my opinion. Then you have trial errors, which there was no trial in this case, but there could be some improper procedure, jury instructions, and limiting self-defense cross-examination. And you know that Ann Taylor did everything she could to get this in motion to drop the death penalty, and was not favorable by Judge Hippler nor the prosecution. So what can we do? We can definitely send letters to the Innocence Project. You can send it to the Idaho Innocence Project. I haven't heard back from them. You can send it, and you know, they are based at Boise State University. They are a whole network of individuals. You can write civil rights or criminal defense attorneys and ask for private representation. And here's the deal. When we look at a breakdown of what Autism Innocent Project is, let me just grab that for you. This project, where did it go? Here it is. This project, I want to talk about this for a little bit. The Innocent Project works towards, oh, you can't see that. What am I doing? It works towards a criminal justice system that is equitable and fair to all, not just autistic people, not just. And basically, it envisions a world where defendants are understood, protected, and provided with appropriate supports, which I do not think for one bit that Brian Kohberger was given during this process. I believe Anne kept trying to get it admitted and to get the judge to understand, but Hippler was, nope, 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 not doing it. And that is sad. It is sad because developmentally disabled individuals out of prison systems, they try to help them wherever they can. And what does the team do? They have leadership roles of professionals. Yes, professionals like psychologists, attorneys, university researchers, law enforcement personnel, and they all work together to collaborate how to reform legal systems that interact with autistic individuals. They should help police departments train in these areas, because I've seen personally in a lot of response, they don't know how to deal with individuals such as this. They go and they don't understand, and then they shoot an individual, eventually killing an individual they don't understand, and they don't know how to de-escalate these types of calls. I've seen it. I'm sure you guys have seen it on the news. I'm sure you've seen some body cam footage to where, oh my gosh, this person needs help and they don't understand how to help this individual. They need that training within police departments. They need it. There are volunteer opportunities within the organization for law students, faculty, anyone interested in providing legal assistance, education to ensure fair treatment of those on the spectrum entangled in the criminal justice system. And why does this even matter? Well, I don't know if you've heard of the case of Robert Roberson. And I'm going to show you. Robert Roberson. Write that name down so you can research it later. And the individual is on their website. Let me just share this page with you so you can understand and you can see it. Hold on. I'm waiting for it to pull up the document on the actual court records. Robert Roberson was diagnosed with autism after his conviction. He faced execution on October 16th due to misjudgments about his demeanor during his child's medical crisis. This is on their website. This is on their website. It'll tell you the story of what happened to him. His daughter was unresponsive and he took her to the hospital. Medical staff became suspicious of his flat affect, no response. And they interpreted his response to his daughter's condition as lacking emotion. The former detective, Brian Wharton, who later led the investigation to the child's death, testified that Mr. Roberson seemed not right because he did not display the emotional reactions like anger and sadness like a typical parent. He didn't kill his child. The lack of his visible emotion and his flat affect is a typical trait of autism, guys. During that 2003 trial for the death of his chronically ill 2-year-old daughter, Nikki, his effect with other autism-related behaviors he displayed during the course of the investigation was used to paint him as cold and remorse, just like we've seen in the Kohberger case as it unfolded. In fact, he was loving, a dedicated father who simply could not express emotion as neurotypical or non-autistic people do. It wasn't until 2018, almost 15 years after he was wrongfully convicted, that he was evaluated and officially diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. You can go and listen to the detective. You can go and listen to what happened. But they basically put him in prison because the way he didn't respond to the events happening around him. He spent 22 years on death row for a crime that never occurred. They were going to execute him in Texas. In 2024, the disability directly contributed to his wrongful conviction when investigators assumed his flat demeanor basically pronounced stress as a manifestation of his autism. They said it was a sign of culpability. He wrote it in the clemency petition in 2024. He was almost wrongfully executed in 2024, but a group of Texas lawmakers intervened. They intervened. His execution was not stayed, but he will be the first person executed in the United States for conviction obtained using the now widely debunked shaken baby syndrome hypothesis. It is sad to see this happening in the day and age we live today. They are still fighting for him not to be executed. They need to stop the execution of an innocent man, a disabled man for a crime that never occurred. They wanted to blame someone. This was just updated on the 14th of 2025, guys. This was just 10 days ago that they updated this story. Way too many cases like this. There are way too many. You are absolutely correct. 100% correct. What can we do? We can fight. We, the people, can fight. We saw it play out in the court hearings. We saw it play out in the court filings. We need equality and fairness for autistic individuals. As a mother of an autistic son that has been through some terrible issues myself, we need equity and fairness. We need advocacy, legal education reform, individualized justice planning. If in fact they are guilty of a crime. But did you know, this blows my mind, do you know that there are statistics on those in prison with autism? Yes, there is. Did you know that 93 case analysis of autistic individuals involved in criminal proceedings, 62% of them were diagnosed with autism before trial, 29% of them during proceedings, and only 10% afters? Lawyers reported that they were 7 times more likely to be concerned with the effective courtroom participation of their clients compared to those non-statistic. Nearly 98% of federal convictions and 95% of state convictions are the result of guilty pleas. 90% and 97% federally of criminal convictions arise through plea bargaining. It is a known tactic. 18% of known exonerees pleaded guilty to crimes they didn't commit. And that is the guilty plea. That's the guilty plea problem. There's an actual website for this. The guilty plea problem website. And it gives statistics. It gives in examples. They've helped 250 innocent people be released from prison. It's part of the innocent movement. They're under the Innocent Project. 17% of exonerees originally pleaded guilty to crimes they didn't commit. And did you know that there is a national, yes, folks, a national registry of exonerations? Yep, you're right. That's almost 1 out of 5 plead guilty. Yep. There are stories in here that I was just blown away. I was blown away. This lady that called the police, firefighters responded to a fire alarm. Here's an example. 50-year-old responded to the fire alarm in Colorado, and they discovered Robert, I can't say this guy's last name, Paishirshio's body had been beaten, stabbed, bound with duct tape, and set on fire. An autopsy would later show he died of a heart attack during the violent struggle. You can go and read this. Police question Lindar, is it Acacia? Lindar, about the murder, and she maintained her innocence in the interview. Come on, guys. This woman, do you think that she can bound and duct tape and stab and beat a man and then set him on fire? When you look at the evidence, you can go and read this. The guy had a seizure, was told to lay down in the spare bedroom. It goes into detail. It goes into serious detail. And do you know what? She was exonerated. She was exonerated. And I think it's that tunnel vision from our police departments that have to hurry up and find a perpetrator, narrow down on one individual, and find them guilty at all costs, no matter if they have evidence or not. In my humble opinion, that's exactly what we're seeing. That's exactly what we're seeing. Convicted in 2012 and exonerated in 2025. Life without parole. Here were the contributing factors. False or misleading forensic evidence, perjury or false accusation, official misconduct. Listen to this. This is directly from the Innocent Project. They were talking about a specific case, and this is what they said. And utterly indifferent to the myriad risks that come with jettisoning carefully crafted constitutional safeguards, including not just false convictions, but also obscuring untold quantities, police misconduct that never comes to light during a public trial, severing the vital constitutional connection between ordinary citizens and the administration of criminal justice, and facilitating mass incarceration by enabling the government to pursue marginal cases that would decline if it had to incur the expense and inconvenience of a jury trial. These are the statistics of those who plead guilty. In most of these cases, DNA evidence contribute to the exoneration? No. There is a statistical database that you can go through and you can look at this, and I'm just going to pull this up real quick. There is a statistical database that you can see in regards to this. You can go down to this website and you can look, and here is the data. You can go through and look total exonerations, DNA exonerations, and non-DNA exonerations. When you go and scroll over to see how many exonerations in 2022, I just picked that number. There were 240 255 total exonerations. 16 were DNA and 239 were non-DNA exonerations. You can go through and you can look at where they're at today. There's graphs, there's reports. You can look at their annual report. You can go and look. It is unreal how many people have been exonerated. You can go and look at the results yourself. And those results in nearly NRE data, 15% pled guilty, 11% of the innocent project's exonerees pled guilty, and 25%. There are national registry analysis on this. 25% falsely confessed. Why? Why are they falsely confessing? Why? Why do you think someone would falsely confess? Why would you think someone would falsely confess? In my humble opinion, and I've said it before, you're in a chokehold. You are pigeonholed into something you did not do, and they will make you look more guiltier and guiltier, if that's even a word, guiltier, because the greater confessions are based, the biggest result in plea deals is fear. It is known fear. And this is why 95% convicted without a trial, they plead out. Because it costs for trials. You don't know the outcome. When you plea, you know the outcome. The fear in the back of your mind has already been tackled because you know the outcome. And why does autism make innocent rates hard to estimate and likely understand? Because there's no data. There's no data yet. And you figure we have to look at autism rise in America. You have to go and look at the statistics. You have to understand why. As of 2022, about 3% of 8-year-olds in the US have been diagnosed with autism, a notable rise from previous years. Boys are diagnosed more than girls. And that's one in 31 children will be diagnosed with autism by the age of 8. That's per the CDC. That reflects an increase of 1 in 36 from 2020. Among 4-year-olds in 2022, 1 in 34 were diagnosed, and that's per Autism Speaks. Some have reported higher rates. And if they're looking at more and more diagnosing in autism, then our justice system needs some halt. They need some reform. We need some reform. It's neurodivergent. This is neuroscience. I have my own humble opinions why, but I'll reserve those because this is not just talking about boys with autism. Girls are still diagnosed. I think it's 1 in every 189 females that I last read. Boys are more prompt to be diagnosed. But there's no data that specifically estimates the percentage of incarcerated individuals with autism who are innocent or wrongly convicted. And that's according to the Autism Innocent Project that I just showed you. They don't track. It doesn't exist. Is this a way for them to just take an autistic person and put them in jail and get them out of society? Is this what we're going to? I can be on a tangent and a rant right now that you wouldn't believe, but I'm going to reserve myself. I'm going to reserve myself. When you have the DOJ in 2017 doing a linked study and found that wrongful convictions are anywhere from 2.3 to 5%, and the estimate of death row inmates that are innocent are about 4%. Autism spectrum vulnerabilities. Why do they exist? Because there's communication barriers. There's misinterpretation of behaviors such as guilt, like I just explained. And they are higher susceptibility to make false confessions. In the Innocent Project that I just talked about, it noted that 70% of those who falsely confessed were later exonerated, had a mental illness or an intellectual disability, and groups often overlap in autistic populations. I mean, I'll give you an example. Aaron Farmer. I remember him off the top of my head. Autism. Hold on. Let me grab here it is. He made the headlines in New Zealand. Let me grab this document for you. I just remembered it off the top of my head. He was exonerated, and what cleared him was DNA. He's in Australia, in New Zealand. Let me grab it. I remember this story. Someone had told me about it a while back ago, put it in the back of my head. He was wrongly jailed, wrongly convicted. Here we go. Let me put this up on there. Wrongly jailed man. They had to pay him out over $1 million. This is one of those that I have to have a, here's the wrongly jailed man setup. Can you believe that? He was found guilty of a rape of a 22-year-old woman in Christchurch after she picked him out on the lineup. He was wrongfully convicted. There was an article, let me see if I still have it. Yeah. PBS did a story. No, that's not him. I think another story had come out about what the background was. But he actually was found guilty, wrongfully convicted despite having autism, and later cleared via DNA testing. There's another one in New Zealand, Alan Hall. His undiagnosed autism affected his interrogation responses and contributed to his conviction. And there's that communication problem, and it was overturned decades later. That was another one. These statistics go on, and examples are out there. We're just putting the highlight and the spotlight on them. I think it was easier to blame it on some creepy guy. And with autism, they simply don't have enough reliable data, but it is because the vulnerabilities that individuals face with miscommunication, suggestibility, misinterpreted behavior, it's disappropriated, wrongful convictions. The data supports it. They need more information. I mean, these are professionals that are involved in these cases, in these projects, in these, just this community of trying to get this to be understood by a criminal justice system. And if you're not familiar with it, if you don't know what autism is or how to communicate or how they interpret things, find something online. Go to Autism Speaks. Go look for a course in how to communicate with people that are different. police officers should make it mandatory now that they're going into communities more and more and more with kids that are diagnosed. And do you know that most people with autism do not have and they do not commit violent crimes? Example, Kohberger had no history of violent crimes. And here are some of the neurodiverse behaviors that you can even look into. Maintaining eye contact. If they have difficulty, usually an autistic characteristic. Atypical type of communication, like they don't engage easy, trying to find the right words. Again, no eye contact. It could be misconstrued as indications of guilt. And Ann Taylor said and specified all this in her court filings. And the justice system does have biases, guys. Autism is not considered in how a reasonable person's standard is applied, increasing systematic disadvantages for autistic defendants. They don't see it. They don't understand it. They won't put it into the law books. They don't teach it. They ignore it. You see mental health court, but you don't see any autism courts. You see veterans courts, you see drug rehab courts, you see drug courts, you see all these other types of courts, but you don't see something that's so desperately needed in our justice system. You don't see autism courts. Maybe these people with the mental illness courts can also be educated on autism and treat it differently, because it is. And I can't believe there's no data on percentage of autistic prisoners, because they're not just going to go in and start diagnosing these people who actually have autism and are actually factually innocent. It would cost too much money on these corrections facilities in the states. They're not going to go back and say all these people are innocent and we've not done our job and all the guilty people are out running the roads. They're not going to do that. Can you imagine how many lawsuits they would have? How many families they could piss off? 95% of convictions come from guilty pleas, not trials. Wow. Youth and disabilities and vulnerable populations are on the rise, especially with autism. I just had to pause for a minute. You're seeing exactly how Kohberger was railroaded. That means 1 in 5 exonerations, they plead guilty to crimes they didn't commit. They're put in jail cells, in dangerous situations with people who are much more dangerous than an innocent person who pled guilty. Plea bargains accept a reduced sentence sometimes. The risk of trial is simply faced with potentially much harsher penalties, because the imbalance of trial penalty, after the trial, you go to trial penalty. You have to understand, even if an innocent one takes a plea, the prosecutors use it to pressure defendants. It does matter, folks. We have to have them understand why this matters. I shared the National Registry of Exonerations. 18% of those individuals. And most people, get this statistic I pulled out of there, and I was like, holy crap. They say about 18% of exonerated individuals had originally pleaded guilty to crimes they didn't commit. And in some categories, like drug offenses and lower level felonies, the number is closer to 50% that are innocent. 50% in drug offenses and lower level felonies. 50%. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Got to be kidding me. 50% in some cases of drug related and felonies, lower level felonies. And that is why people, a neurodiverse defendant might feel forced to accept responsibility, even if factually innocent. The justice system's failure to account for autism it creates a pipeline of accusation. Here's the process: accusation, plea, conviction, and it sidesteps the truth. Here's the takeaway. Plea bargains are supposed to streamline justice, but they often silence innocence, especially for autistic and vulnerable defendants. Without safeguards, exactly like we've seen in the Kohberger issue with the courts, the hearings, what looks like a confession on paper may actually be the product of fear, misunderstanding, and systematic coercion. Do you think, drop a 1, do you think that is what we just witnessed in Kohberger's case? And why is it the Idaho connection? Because the lessons that we've seen here apply to Brian Kohberger. Reported autistic traits. We've seen those. Pressure of death penalty looming. Fear. The risk of plea deal in high profile cases. The prosecution didn't say, hey, wait, we messed up. We got the wrong guy. No, they needed that conviction on the media, in their towns, to reassure they knew they were doing their jobs. I mean, what's your theory about the innocence in autism? I'm really interested in your theory about the innocent and autism. Do you think that they got the wrong guy? Was it easier to frame him because he had autism? Because he's antisocial? Because he couldn't sit through a trial 8 hours a day for 3 months on end? That would have been grueling for somebody with autism because of his quirks, his traits, his unresponsiveness. Do they take advantage of those who are less likely to be able to be a good defense in court? Do they stronghold these individuals into plea deals? Again, we can drop petitions, advocacy links, letters. I've made it easy. The conversation needs to go mainstream. But you know what? The mainstream media ignores it. They help spread more misinformation. And that's why you see in this picture that I made, innocent behind bars without a trial, 90% convicted, and with autism, it's so much more greater. More greater than what we're seeing. And I've just given you all the statistics. So now that you know a little bit more about autism and conviction in our court system, I want to leave you with this. What happened here has happened before, and it will continue happening. Justice must be fair for all. Support the Autism Innocent projects. Plea deals silence the innocent. Write them a letter that I've showed you on the website. That website is a resource. It is a resource. And here's what we see happening. In summary, what you see right here is what happens. This is what they want to happen. This is what they need to happen. Because there was no trial, he pled guilty. Sometimes they offer a shorter sentence. They gave Kohberger exactly what the law would allow. Judge didn't go higher. He could have sentenced him for a lot longer. You go to trial, they would have given him a longer maximum sentence. They never dropped the plea. They never dropped the death penalty because he pled. Because they backed him into a corner. And he didn't have trial. It is a sad day in our justice system that they can do this to individuals. And it's up to you and me to be advocates to fight for the truth. Because if you know anyone with autism, with mental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, we'll go over what those traits of Kohberger's were in our next meeting, our next live. I think it's important that we share this information. And something else is really important that I need to talk with about today. I made a video that it won't allow me to upload to YouTube. I do not understand why, but I'm going to show my video right here so that you understand what I'm talking about. This right here, this statement, the untold quantities of police misconduct that never comes to light during a public trial. This right here. Now, I have been talking about the Moscow Police Department reports for a while, then the ISP reports and the photos that have come out. But in the original MPD reports, this officer right here, I've talked about him before. Go watch my YT videos. But let me just say this. The body cam footage tells the whole story in what I've been saying for a little while. This officer directly does something that I have been suspicious of, that I have talked about on my lives, especially on my lives, in showing you the MPD police reports, connections, awards, everything going on in this town. And it leads back to this body cam footage. Let me show you. This officer goes directly into Kaylee's room. He walks in with authority, says, hey, you go cover the back, you go do that. This officer was smart enough to notice that he did not have a body cam on. He directly goes into Kaylee's room. Watch. He goes with a purpose. He goes directly into Kaylee's room. Well, we know that Maddie and Kaylee are in the other room. He goes into Kaylee's room with a purpose. He comes out. What does he have? What does he have? He comes down with the other officer. I believe, in my humble opinion, he was sent there to get something specific. Then he tells the other officers, go ahead, close the door. There's a dog in there. What in the world is happening? They've redacted parts of the video. You can go back and listen to the audio. But this is exactly what took place. What did they retrieve from Kaylee's room only? What did they take? You know the drill. Drop your comments. Help me out with the algorithm. Someone needs to investigate this, in my humble opinion. There were two officers in that video. There were two officers in that video. One went into Maddie's room. The other one went into Kaylee's room. They both did not have body cams on. They both went in there to Maddie's room, but one officer went into Kaylee's room. Go back and watch the video. You'll understand. One of those officers was given an order, in my humble opinion, to go do whatever they needed to do. If you go back and you watch the footage, you will see one goes in one room, the other goes in the other room. Whatever they were sent there to do, they got the job done. They got the job done. And I will show you directly from their video that you can see both of those officers go into different rooms, Maddie and Kaylee's room. Watch.
I'll just start down here. Police department. Police department. Moscow Police Department, if you're in here, announce yourself. Moscow Police Department. Clear here. Going up there. Police department. We're on third floor, going up. We got another. Moscow Police Department. Dude. Clear? We're clear. Yes. Let me just secure the outside first. So. The front door. There's a back entry. I was going to start taping it all off. I'm taping the outside off. Okay. Where's the other? There's two right here. House. There's a back entry. I was going to start taping it all off. I'm taping the outside off. Okay. Where's the other? There's two right here. I already got it. I got in there. Shut it down.
So it's interesting what you find. Can you hear me now? It's very interesting what you find when you look in the MPD documents, because I had said this before. In this document, there is something wrong that people were there. And who took these reports? These were the initial responding officers with body cam footage: Snyder, Warner, Nunez, Smith, Morris, and Rosinski. Those two officers that we saw didn't have body cameras on. They didn't. And it says right here they didn't. Right there. Right there. And who signed this report? Gunderson. He didn't have the body cam on. This was his initial narrative. This was it. And does his statement match the body cam? Because I don't remember seeing him go into Xana's room on the body cam. He went directly for Kaylee's room. You can go read his statement, because he wrote it on the 15th. Interesting stuff, guys. Interesting stuff. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and say good day to all of you. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, drop them below. Got any comments? You guys are amazing. You guys keep throwing comments and questions and theories out there, which are absolutely amazing. I want to know what he got from Kaylee's room, because that's where he went directly. Interesting. Interesting to say the least. Be well, you guys. Be well. And thank you so much for those who donated. Thank you, Marissa. It didn't go unnoticed. If you look at the pictures, everything is open. Yep. Take a look. See what you find. Dumperson. Be well, guys. Be well. Have a fantastic Sunday. And I'll see you back on Monday night.
This ain't no ordinary stream. From the ashes, Phoenix talks manifest in the dream.
Essentially convicted in the media. You don't have to read but a few articles to see how negative they are about him. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian isn't.